In the previous episode, I was at Auto House garage where we serviced the engine and gearbox and put it back in the car. I can now finally take a car home. The car starts, but it does not run, as I still have a number of issues to deal with before the car becomes operational. The hood cable has snapped, the suspension is not working, and for some reason I cannot put the car into gear. Also, there is a lot of things to fix in the interior of the car.
So the engine is back in the place and the radiators and the panels have been just loosely put together. So there will be a lot of adjustment because the gaps are not matching anywhere because all the parts were replaced. So I'm gonna have to do a lot of adjustments to get everything to fit properly. We pumped the air into suspension and 3 wheels have lifted up. However, this one here is still on the ground. So for that, I got a new shock. So the shock will be replaced on this front passenger wheel. Yet another issue is this cable. This is the cable that opens the hood. So when I pulled on it, of course, it snapped. And I think it was just old, and it has to be replaced now, and that goes under here, under the fender, and under the hood, and over there into the car. So that's gonna be an interesting place to replay. I might need to remove everything from here to get access, and then I'm not sure where it goes into the car. So that's another thing that I have to tackle. Okay, so the car is back in my garage, and there are a few things remaining to be done. So first, from the suspension, the air was pumped into suspension, but one of the shocks is not working. Therefore, I don't know, the battery is off. Now I got the new shock, this one, the front right. I got a new shock. I need to replace this shock here. And hopefully that will sort out the suspension. And then the gear shift linkage that's connecting the lever inside the car to the gearbox. Something is wrong with it, so I have to fix that too. After those two problems are fixed, I can go back and put everything back in place and align the panels, and those are gonna be the last steps to do. So put the lights, align the hood with the fender, with the bumper, and after that we're gonna wrap the whole car and done. Okay, so I'm gonna start doing one thing at a time. So first I got this computer that I hook up to the car, and I can read the error codes and clear error codes. So now if we look at the dash, there is no more airbag error. So after replacing the airbags, I have hooked up the computer and cleared the error codes on the airbag, so there is no more report of the errors. Now next step is I need to put the seat belts back, I need to put the seats back, and I need to change the dash cover. So I'm putting the seat belts back in place, making sure that they are retracting properly on both sides. After the seat belts are in, I'm gonna put back the trim over this section. I'm going to reconnect the passenger seat back in place. I'm gonna leave the driver's seat as is because I need it loose so I can connect and disconnect the battery. So everything except the driver's seat is gonna go back in place. The passenger side is done. The seat is back in place. All the trim is back in place. Maybe some minor adjustments later needed. Put this rubber over. So now the driver's side. Some of the remaining issues on the car. When the gearbox and engine were put back, for some reason the gear shift lever is no longer working. So you were supposed to be able to move it back and forth. However, it's locked. So it does not go back into the position. And for that, I have to remove the whole central console. So I started removing that one bit by bit, and this here piece needs to go as well, and it is held by few bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these cables I have to disconnect the console. All the bits are been behind, and then here few more bolts, 2 more here. Also have to disconnect everything here. So I have to lift the whole console up to gain access to the gear shift lever and see what's happening with it. However, to remove the center console, not only did I have to unbolt the front area, I also have to do the rear area. So I have to take this console off, and I'm hoping I'm just doing the right thing here by removing these screws. So you see all the bits and pieces that I've taken apart. There is more in the front seat. I was able to remove this console. Now I'll hook the cables. So it's easier to remove than to put back. Okay, so the central console is out. And this is what I've left with. So now I have access to that gear lever, shifter lever, and I can check out what's happening with it. Look at all these pieces. Who's gonna put this together? I have no idea. The shifter cable problem. I have removed the shifter box, the center console, everything, to try to figure out where the problem is with the shifter. So this is what I figured out. There is this piece here that is moving. So this here is moving, and this is where the shifter console box is attached to. So my opinion, what is wrong here is that this cable has been pulled too far when the transmission and engine were taken out, and that this piece here has separated and is now able to move, and that's why you cannot change the gear. If this here is fixed in place, then you can move and adjust the position of the cable. So how am I going to fix this? One solution would be to completely change the cable for the one that's not broken, and the other option is to fix this in place so it cannot move. So I decided that for me it's much easier to fix this in place so it cannot move, and I'm going to do that by using a 8-ton crimping tool. So basically, using this massive tool, I'm going to put the cable here inside this slot. I'm gonna use a metal piece, and then I'm going to pump this until it squeezes the cable in place and the cable cannot move anywhere. So I got this special tool just for this purpose. Let's see if it works.
So after trying for several times to mend this broken piece here, I realized that that's not gonna happen. So I went and I bought a new piece, but it only comes as a complete set with the shifter box and the cable. You can see here that this here is one piece, whereas here it's broken. So I'm gonna have to take this out of the car and put this one in its place. So to do that, I have to detach the cable from under the car where it mounts to the gearbox. So I'm now gonna go under the car. I'm going to support the car with the jack, lift it up as high as it can go, and then I'm going to slide under and reach the spot where the cable is bolted to the gearbox and set it loose. Okay, I'm now under the car, and here are two bolts here that are holding the cable, and another one here. It's 3 bolts that I have to remove. It's not the easiest access here, but I can get to it. Again, you will need to have all the tools. Okay, the cable has been released here. Okay, and now I need to pull the cable out. In the car I have cut this cable here. Now I'm gonna take a piece of wire and tie it to this end of the cable, and then I'm gonna pull it from under the car. This piece of wire is just for insurance. If I need to pull the new cable through the car so it doesn't get stuck somewhere. Cable is out, so I need to remove this piece here and this piece here and put that onto the new cable. This is completely melted from the heat. Okay, let's put the new one in. I have reconnected the shift box and the cable to the gearbox. I tighten it under the car. Okay, the moment of truth. Reverse, neutral, drive. So now the only thing that I need to do is put everything back together where it was, the whole central console, connect all the cables, put the wires, tighten, and try again. I need to work on the interior, so I have to put back the central console and the gear shifter. So I'm gonna be doing that now. I brought the car here outside so that I don't need to work in the dark in the basement. So here is the central console, and it goes here in the center, as the name says, in the center of the car. So I'm gonna put it back, and then I need to reconnect all the electronics, make sure that everything fits, and tighten everything, and then try the gear shifter again. So I have loosely positioned the console back in place, but I need to make sure that I have routed all the cables properly and that I did not forget pieces like this foam. Actually, I don't know
where this foam was before, so I just have to be creative and find where to put it back. I need to make sure that all the cables are routed properly so that all the electronics can connect, and there are so many cables. The front section is coming slowly. Everything I hope connected. I hope that I did not miss any cable under the console, so I don't have to open it again. And I will finish this front side, test if everything works, and then I'm gonna move to the back half of the console. Okay, the front part of the console done and tested. Everything works as supposed to. I'm gonna resume later and finish this rear bit here. I'm now putting back the rear half of the central console. So I have to put back these air ducts and just reconnect all the wires. Of course, I forgot one of the wires underneath the console, so I had to spend some time getting that cable out from under the console to connect this rear piece of the AC control. In the next episode, I continue tying up loose ends so I can get the car ready for inspection and registration. The car will be on the road for the first time, but the work is far from over. After the car is running and registered, it will go for a full paint job. Please subscribe and like this video to support me in making more content. See you in the next episode.